Welcome to Generation Flex, where we bring generationally diverse perspectives to burning challenges. Remember those days in grade school when responding to an admirer involved using folded notebook paper to reveal a yes, a no, or maybe? Needless to say, the mechanics of courtship have changed, but changed for the better or for the worse. There are way too many wonderful people in the world who are single and bristle at today's dating scene. Can't really blame them when the way of finding love is constantly being minimized and commercialized as a simple swipe or a tryout competition. But how does one break through the nonsense to find true love? Is the art of romantic courtship dead? My guests today will sort it all out. They tell me it's mean in these streets. So I'd like to welcome to the show, from Generation Boomer, Maria Wynn, CEO of Leadership Greater Chicago, and from Generation X, Hannah Dunwoody, hairstylist and boutique owner, Darius Hillman, Executive Director at Can TV, and representing the millennials, Eric Spells, biopharmaceutical sales representative of a Fortune 500 company. So let's start, okay? Let's shed some light on this for me. I think first, let's define dating. Hannah, you want to start?
For me, dating is you're dating. You're getting to know people. It might be one, it might be two, it might be three, but you're getting to know them. And people's perception of dating is that just because you go out on a date, we go together. I didn't say we go together. We just dating.
I ain't say that.
You're one of three. Today is not number two's day. You're one of three. Okay. I've been out the game for a minute, you all.
Okay, Hannah, is that what we do?
I've been out the game for a minute, so help me out. Any other perspective? Just defining what is dating.
I think for me, dating and courting are synonymous with me. So courting is I'm seeing multiple folks. We're at the get to know you. Clothes coming off or not even on the table at this point. We're coffee, old school. I'm Gen X. Like I miss the times of old school courting. So that's what it's like for me right now. And that's what I'm pushing intentionally for it to get back to being, where you're literally going to court. We're going to court. You're going to get to know me. You're going to ask questions. We're going to have coffee. So that's how I see dating, kind of a chivalrous feel to it, where you're just talking, no pressure. And at any moment, if we decide as we're unpacking, it's an unpacking. And at any moment we decide that our baggage, because when you get to be my big age, you got baggage. So, and they're going to have baggage. So we go in knowing, let's unpack. You take a piece out, show me. And at any point in that process, if we decide, our baggage don't match up, all good. All good, no harm, no foul. That's what it is for me.
So Hannah said you could date using your language, one, two, or three, or more people. When you get to one,
I'm doing two because I need sleep.
But courtship, courtship. You're saying that is just we're getting to understand a little bit better, and it's really not about any kind of sort of exclusivity at that point. Is that your point? Okay.
I like that distinction, actually, because it kind of segments dating and it puts another little piece of it into it that is really about let's get to know each other before we decide whether we really want to stick with each other for a bit. Right.
And give yourselves the opening in the courtship period where it's no harm, no foul.
Right.
We know it's more than and I still may be getting to know other people at whatever point we are in the dating to courting, but we know here, I like enough about you where I want to get to know you better.
Right, I want to know more.
Right. So is there an introduction from the standpoint of sir, madam, or other? We are courting right now, nothing more, nothing less. Do you have that conversation?
There needs to be that communication between two people.
Absolutely.
Just because when you're getting into that dating situation and you continue to, meet up with that person, you're gonna eventually get feelings for them. And I think it's important to have that communication between each other, because when there's not, there can be a mix-up. I mean, someone may be expecting that next step from the other person, and that person may just still be on that level where they're trying to figure out if they want to take it to that next step. There may be another person that they may be interested in taking it to the next step. And I think, especially for my generation, it's huge that like you don't really get that communication anymore.
Yeah.
It's so easy now, I think, with social media and the texting, where people just ghost. And that happens a lot where without that communication, you may press a little harder than maybe what they were expecting or what they really wanted, and that may scare some people off. So I think that's a huge thing now, is ghosting people, which happens a lot.
That's interesting.
Oh, I do want to explore that ghosting
Yeah.
concept. So hold on to that for me, because I don't know what we called it back in the day when somebody just stopped talking to you. They just stopped talking to you. I say you went ghost, but I say that about a lot of things. So it was, but it is like a definition in the dating world
And
now.
I think the issue here, it's all communication. So let's say you get from dating to courting to intimacy to marriage. You should probably begin with strong communication from the jump anyway, where there's continual conversation, constant feedback. So to your question, even if it hurts, I have to call the person and go, I'm going to resist the urge to ghost you. This isn't working. They may be unhappy. It has nothing to do
You
with
are that
it.
transparent?
I have to be.
Oh, you have to be in the minority's minority.
But and I'm not,
because this ghosting stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, and let's be
Yeah.
very clear. I've done my share of ghosting. But if you want better, you got to start doing that.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know.
So you
Agreed.
put out what you
What you
want.
want.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's kind of go back to the beginning part, right? When we would say, "Oh, he cracked on me," she cracked on him. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, they said something to me, like they're attracted. Like, oh,
Okay, I see you.
What are the rules around approaching people now?
Now that part, I'm lost. Because I'm lost on that part, and I'm lost on going back to the dating and courting part, because courting to me is this one person that I'm hanging out with all the time. Dating to me is that I'm seeing you every blue moon, because I'm seeing other people, trying to get to that courting part. Because people, my time is valuable, so I can't give out my time to anybody. So if I'm courting being long and I don't like you, I don't waste the time, because I'll be 50. So I have no time to waste, and especially if I'm looking to get married. So by me giving you all my time like that, it's a waste. So I would date you. We can go out and have drinks, and if I like that conversation, I want to see you again. If I don't, then I say it's not working out. It's not. We're not compatible.
When did it move into that courtship piece? They may or may not. Is that what you're saying?
No, when it moved to the courtship part, to me, is those conversations on the phone. You talking,
and it's
you start
longer and longer.
and
You're only
longer.
doing it with one person.
Yeah.
See,
That's courting to me.
You're seeing 50. I'm about to hit 55. We got to move this. So we've got to read. So it's like the holiday dinner. So if you think of dating as the meal that takes longer, so I've got maybe 3 or 4 of those. I'm just having coffee, and maybe not a second one. Courting is maybe 1 or 2, because that's a little more energy, a little bit more time. But I just don't have the luxury, and I don't feel the pressure, but the luxury of being less efficient than I possibly can be. So right now, courting, which is why communication is so key, I am seeing 2 people. But we're very clear of where that is, and those are 2 people who I think it's more than dating, but it is far less than anything else that I want to spend time with, that they get time on my schedule during the week. So that's the difference for me.
So what? And I think I like this notion of there has to be an efficiency quotient here.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that, Maria?
Well, I'm with Darius, and with you. I mean, there's just a limited amount of time, and I think that when we choose to be with someone, whether it be to get to know them or to get to know them further, or wherever we are on this courting to dating kind of space, I do think that you have to be respectful of each other's time, right? And so that investment of time has to mean something.
Yeah.
And you make the deposit wherever you really want to spend time getting to know someone.
She said make a deposit
It's a
before you get a
deposit.
credit.
It's the efficiency for me, Maria, that I respect.
Make a deposit. Listen, I like people got things to do.
Yeah.
Yes. What about the approach, though? How do you land on that person to court or to date? How do you do that? How is that happening these days?
I think it really just depends on the environment that you're in, really. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, especially in my generation, kind of default to, should I try the dating apps or should I meet someone at the bar? And, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot more options, but I think the biggest thing for them is that it's so accessible to just be able to go onto a dating app and swipe left, swipe right. And, unfortunately, because of that, plus I think social media adds to kind of like this superficial view of reality where a lot of people may expect a certain thing out of their partner because they see other partners, on their TikTok or on their Instagram, and they have this idea of like, this is what a relationship should look like. And unfortunately, that skews their view from a lot of people that are in front of them that might be more worth putting in that time and effort and actually investing into. So
They're looking for that perfect thing.
Right.
Let me tell you, there were no filters. There were no verbal filters. There were no, what you got was a wiggy wig. What you see is what you get.
But you got something real.
Because now I think like getting to know a person and finding out if they like is more so of who you know.
Right.
If it's through somebody with me, it's not the social media, it's not the dating app because I'm scared of that. So it's mostly like if we on social media and I know you, I have to look at who you know. If you know any of my friends, I'm gonna call that friend and say, "What's up with dude?" So that's what, like,
Gotta have a reference.
I gotta have a reference. I gotta
deposit and a
right.
You gotta have a reference. Gotta have a reference. So, there's a lot that's being studied about being on the dating scene. When it comes to going on dates, there was actually a survey that was done by an organization called Zooks. I had never heard of them before, but like everything, you find it on the net, right? So tell me what you think about this. They surveyed over 4,000 daters, and they shared these findings. Gen Z daters prefer more time to plan a date. There's that time thing. Millennials fill out the most information on dating sites.
Ooh.
Very, very thorough. Drink dates are the most popular for millennials. Splitting the bill on the first date divides all generations. So who pays and who doesn't? And older generations prefer calls over texts.
I
Agree?
prefer a call.
Okay.
Text is you read into, because when you look at a text, they can say anything. You might read into it the wrong way. Just pick up the phone and call me and say,
Okay.
"Hey, what's going on?" Instead of
Okay.
saying
Yeah.
that. I don't like the text.
I like the idea of the call because it says I thought about you and I thought enough to stop and not message you when I'm in a cab or I'm at the grocery store. I actually stopped my day and I think enough of you to have a conversation with you.
Do you remember once upon a time where you would actually talk so long you start twirling your finger in the cord on the phone,
Yes.
and then you look up and everybody wants to use the same phone?
And if it's real old, you got
That's
to
when
tape
you knew
in
it was like,
the
oh, I can't
cord.
let you go.
You got to tape the cord in so it doesn't fall off the wall when somebody
Yeah.
trips over it. Yes.
Because you don't want anybody to hear
And
you,
then the
so you go
song
into the
come
other
on,
room
yes.
and the cord becomes a
Yes.
string.
And then
with
later
the
at night, your
girl.
song come on, and you both listen to the station together, and you experience it.
Well, let's hold it right there, and we'll be right back.
On the next In the Arena, we talk about what it means to be both African and African American with my very good friend, our guest, Yemi Akisanya.
And I'm walking the hallways going from class to classroom, and I'm hearing Kunta, I must stop, all these yells. And so that was my quick lesson on, how quickly having an accent or having a different name set me apart.
Welcome back to Generation Flex. Now, in the last segment, we talked about getting to know you phase. Now, let's take it a little bit further, okay? When do you start to stake that claim of exclusivity? Meaning, you're my girlfriend, or you're my boyfriend, or you're my companion, or you're my partner. When do you get there? So we talked about the courtship phase. There's a whole interview in Darius is doing. we talked about, you know, the difference between courtship and dating, but when does it get to this is my significant other?
I don't necessarily think there's like a time limit on that for anyone.
What's the signal?
I think the signal is once you start to get those feelings, and I mean, if you're starting to get feelings for someone, and I think for me, the biggest part of when I know I'm getting feelings for someone is when, you know, I'm thinking about them throughout the day and I'm not even talking to them. And there's different things that may remind me of that person, like a song or a scent or like a place. So I think once you start to get to that point of, okay, I'm thinking about this person as more than just a friend, like I have feelings for them, then that's really that point when you kind of move. But I think it's also difficult because there's two individuals in that situation, and the timing for each person may be completely different.
I take
That's
Eric's
exactly
answer.
right.
That's exactly
right.
Yeah.
And that's why communication is so, I've had that happen, and I've had it where I've been on either side. And you can say right now, if you're not both at the same place, it's okay. But in real time, when you're on the end of that where you're not the one who's ready, it becomes difficult, but it's necessary to have the conversation. And in this divine order of everything, then you'll get, when it's really the one, you'll get to the same place or close to the same place. But when you get there, you've gotta communicate it, because what you don't want to do is you're now in your feelings and your fees. And now I've had it happen to me where I'm being blamed for not calling. I'm like, when did we move to phase 2B?
Right.
You didn't get that ticket.
I didn't get the memo.
You didn't get that ticket.
I missed that text.
I think communication and the courage of communication is important, because, you know, some of this can be really hard, right? Because if the other person's here and you're at the starting line, I mean, there is a big gap, right? So you have to communicate, and you have to make sure that you're consistent with your signals, right? I think signals are really important. You can't
What's some
be,
of those signals, Maria? Just
being
in general,
close,
just-
you know, being, giving more of room for intimacy, either in disclosing or in just becoming, you know, closer.
And
right?
I tell men a lot, here's the thing to know from the beginning: don't start stuff you're not gonna keep up.
Right.
That's if the things that make me begin to fall for you, if you are acting and play acting, I don't work on hope at 55. I work on experience and expectation. So I'm very clear. I had someone, honestly, a few weeks ago on a dating app, because again, I'm efficient. And he
Yes, you are.
has two
That's a new category
has two
of
beautiful
dating.
children. Lovely person, liked me, we matched up, we began the conversation. And ultimately what it ended up was, he's getting out of an 8-year marriage, and he is coming into comfort in his own skin. He wants a good time and he deserves it. But what I said to him, again, you have to have the faith, the courage. I said, look, I am looking to marry. It doesn't have to be tomorrow, but everything you're doing now, I've done. So then it became me giving him advice. He's like, it's so great talking to you. Maybe if our paths cross in a few years. I'm like, yes, you go out there, you be safe. He's like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, then do that. But what I don't want, I would much rather look through sober eyes than to be hopeful that I can change someone, because and especially when he just told me who he was. Do I want that? I don't. So what am I wasting his time and my time for?
Right.
Go be blessed.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for a friendship, getting
Right.
to know someone without some of those strings attached. And then, you know, maybe if you get to the point that it moved along, then great, I wasn't expecting that. But I think that's where some of that courage can come into play, is that I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with you. Maybe I see a deeper connection, and maybe I don't, but I am comfortable with you. So, you know,
Yeah,
is
and that
there anything
continuum
there?
to get to a love language that is synchronized, also requires being able to talk about the fact that we're kind of out of sync, right? We're out of sync,
Unequally yoked.
or I think I got a mixed
judgment being
signal
attached,
here.
or guilt or anger.
Yeah. Or I think I got a mixed signal here. Am
What does
I
that mean?
picking this up the right way? Did you mean this, right? I think that's important.
That's important. Or you might have caught feelings before that person. Not
Yes.
saying that person don't like you or don't see themselves with you, but you just felt for that person more faster than they did.
Right.
So that's when giving them a time come into play. If you express that to them, that I fell for you, and I'm liking you a lot, and I see a future with you. But if you're not ready, I'm willing to go along with this, long as you saying to me that I'm digging you, but let's
pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Okay.
And so then you tell that person, okay, I'm gonna give you until this time because I feel like this. My time is valuable. Because if we go into, if I give you a year or maybe 6 months, 6 months of my time, then that's 6 months of my life gone that I could have met somebody else or got to know somebody else. So if I give that person the time, if they're not there, then they understand, like, okay, I'm gonna let you go, I'm gonna let you be. And if you still free further down, then I'm gonna come back at you. If you're not, then I wish you well. And that's just respect.
So let's go forward.
Could I add
Sure,
one more thing?
sure.
I also think that early on, like in that beginning part, where you're kind of like, ooh, do I want to keep getting to know this person or not? I think it's quite all right to say, do you want to continue to explore this? You know, I think that's perfectly fair.
Absolutely.
Right? Because
part of
to
the
your
interview
point,
process.
It's
why do you
absolutely
invest time and just
necessary.
Yeah.
like, we're going out to dinner again, but
Yeah.
what does it
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm consider
Yeah.
me dense. In the early stages, I need clarity.
I
You
need a lot of
you
clarity.
To explain it to me.
It sounds like you also are, all of you are kind of saying it makes sense if the other person, that they have a respect for their time as well,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So it's not just, I've got all these things to do, but I need somebody with something on your mind,
gotta
on
be
your
equally
agenda,
yoked.
on your
Yes.
calendar, on something.
You can't be waiting on me all day.
And
need to
don't start
do
using
something,
time, and don't start using time as an excuse to get out of something.
Yeah.
Be upfront
Right.
and say, I don't want to
Not
invest any more
happening.
time.
But if you set
Right?
expectation from it, this is like with work or anything else. If you change behavior midstream, people say, "Oh, you're being different. You're being brand new." But if you set the behavior and expectation from the beginning, it doesn't feel shocking when you call them and go, "We had something scheduled." I had a date, and I was very clear about a pet peeve of mine is time. And we went into the courting phase. He was 15 minutes late. I am on my way out the door, and literally gave him a 2-day break to think about what he had done. And then he said, "May I try again?" Yes, he was 30 minutes on time early for the next day. We've got to set expectations and trust that we are supposed to meet the person who's right for us, not what they want us to be, but for us. That's hard on the cold night, but I'd much rather do that than play these games.
Yeah. So, you've had your courtship, you've been dating, you've gotten to know each other, things are going along, and then all that glitters is just not gold.
Yep.
Doesn't work out. What's the best way to break up? Is a text breakup okay?
No.
No,
No.
never. Nor voicemail.
Ooh, no text, no
No.
voicemail.
Have the courage.
This is where you can talk about ghosting. So, so tell us, what is ghosting?
I mean, ghosting is just when you don't give anyone, when you don't give someone that indication that things aren't working out for you and you just kind of disappear. And, it could be from unfollowing on social media to completely blocking numbers and Snapchats. And I'm sure, like Darius said, I've been guilty of possibly not having the courage in a situation where I might have just let it be without saying anything. And, being on the receiving end of that now, I understand how that feels and how that looks to kind of have someone just disappear, especially, like we said, you're investing time into this person, and, there might have been that situation where someone's on a different page than the other person, and there's just no communication whatsoever. So I think, it's just respectful to at least tell someone, hey, this isn't working out. They invested their time just like you did, and it's just being an adult and simply saying this isn't going to work out, and I appreciate your time, and I really hope you find what you're looking for, but to at least have the decency to do that, you don't really find it much these days.
Yeah. And you mumble a little something under your breath, I'm sure. So, is there a friend code? Meaning, you break up with someone, are they off limits to your friends or to a family member who
Yes.
might?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ooh, go for it. You thought we were playing spades. but we're not.
You hit the buzzer. Okay, go.
I don't care. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
If that was your, I'm sorry.
Did I hit a nerve?
I may have.
I'm sorry.
I may have. I've been hurt.
Okay, well, you get yourself together.
Okay,
Get yourself together.
okay,
Hannah, is there a
okay,
code?
I'm good.
There's
Thank
a
you,
code.
Hannah.
Especially if I had feelings for that person, it's a code.
Okay.
And if it's somebody who I just like, girl, go on. He wasn't my type anyway.
Okay.
You know, go ahead.
Okay.
But yes, it's
Is there a code?
I kind of agree with what Hannah said. Like,
Okay.
if I dated you and we were exclusive and I considered you my girlfriend, then yeah, off limits to friends, family, anyone else. But if it was just simply dating, if I give you the go ahead, then go ahead, do your thing.
Go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah.
Maria, is there a code?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, I
Okay.
think there's you know, if you have a friendship and you value it, you're going to say either, you know what, this guy wasn't for me, but he might be for you because, you know, you're my friend and I love you, or oh, definitely not. You cannot.
Yeah.
Right?
Lies your friends tell
That's
you.
one pair of used shoes you don't want, baby. So we'll be right back after this.
Children from our most vulnerable communities do not always have the chance to discover their potential and are often limited by circumstance, their environment, and systems beyond their control. This week on Change Agents, we will meet a leader and an organization who is using the power of music to empower our most vulnerable youth. Join me Thursday at 7 p.m. on CanTV 19. Download the brand new CanTV Plus app or stream us live on cantv.org.
Well, indeed, it must be rough out here in these streets. But everyone needs someone to grow with, to share with, to cuddle with, and to lean on. Finding true love should be taken way more seriously than popular culture would have us believe. Affairs of the heart can be challenging to navigate, but I like to believe it's well worth the effort. Put first things first and be very clear about who you are and what you are looking for in a relationship. No one needs to complete you, and no one is assigned to make you happy. Life is like heaven, but it can hurt like hell. Whatever happens, know that you are enough all by your lonesome. In the meantime, go out and have fun with no expectations except doing you. Be safe, trust your gut, and when Cupid arrives and the butterflies flutter, simply relax and enjoy the moment. I'd like to thank my guests today, Maria and Hannah and Eric and Darius. Until next time, remember to live, laugh, and love. Thanks for watching.